Imagine a world where engines whisper their secrets in roars and rumbles. Today, we journey with Shrivatsa Somany into the soulful realm of internal combustion engines, where each rev tells a story of raw power and visceral thrill. Shrivatsa articulates his profound connection to these mechanical hearts, contrasting their emotive pulse with the silent, stoic efficiency of electric vehicles. While he recognizes the quiet grace of EVs in a world craving silence, he champions the spirited dialogue of gasoline engines. For him, the essence of driving transcends mere velocity. It's an orchestration of sound, fury, and passion. Tuned fast, he asserts, is not just about speed, it's about awakening a car's fiery spirit that stock fast cannot ignite. Deep dive with us into the passionate symphony of traditional engines that captivates Shrivat's racer's heart.
Sports cars, I this is just old man yells at sky
Huh.
level of meme.
We're in
I
the
don't
same
think-
boat.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't think they have a place in sports cars, personally.
Okay.
They're
So-
great for 0 to 100. तो Rimac में
हाँ.
very good. No
Correct.
complaints. But 0 to 100 का interest है तो चलाओ भी, मेरे को कोई problem नहीं. And they'll set good Nürburgring times and all that. ठीक है, मतलब वो track पे भी अच्छे, तो I don't have really much of a leg to stand on. It's emotion. You were party to that conversation
Yeah.
yesterday on the group.
Yeah.
मैनुअल क्यों नहीं चाहिए मैनुअल में तो अच्छा ही नहीं है ये मालूम है it's not as fast of a transmission
हाँ.
it's not as good of a car
हाँ.
the auto is better in every way and it's a lakh rupees cheaper
Yeah.
like an idiot I paid more for a manual and I daily it like it's daftness no matter which way you look except when you look inwards where it's like what do you enjoy I don't enjoy electric cars.
You know, there's this kind of people who, without even participating, they are just scared and they try to be overly calculative while even watching somebody perform at at an autocross event. That पता नहीं कैसा होगा, यहाँ से मेरा time नहीं निकलेगा, ऐसे होगा, वैसे होगा. Sometimes they start commenting on the other people. Yeah, maybe he would have taken that turn this way. He would have scored a better time without even participating or experiencing. Would you invite them to, or would you like to say something to them?
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
look, it's human nature to comment.
Yeah.
Right? We are also sitting watching F1 ki like ये Ricciardo क्या कर रहा है यार?
Yeah.
Dude, he's one of the top 20 drivers in the world.
Yeah.
You may think he sucks.
Yeah.
You may think Joe sucks. You may think that Verstappen is God or Hamilton is God.
Yeah.
And this guy sucks. But you're looking at it in context of those people.
Yeah.
They're a shit ton better than you'll ever be in your life into 10. So it's human nature to comment and it's fun. Like, you can't be like, tu comment mat kar, chalana nahi hai to. Comment karo. First of all, that's my first reaction to you on that. Please comment. But if you really feel that, this line was better, this line was better, and you've never driven it, come. Chances are you won't be right about that. But it's a learning experience, right, for you.
Yeah.
As for then, so that's one thing. I would suggest if you feel like you want to do it, but I won't be fast. That's not an excuse. Come. Like I said, I've lost to Karan in this, man.
Yeah.
People must have definitely at that time they would have said कि like यार Porsche में हार गया. Fact है. कोई बात नहीं.
Yeah.
मजा आया पर.
I think it's more about seat time, as everybody says it.
Absolutely, it's all about seat time.
Yeah.
So it's not about the car. Anyway, you're not competing on the same class. You come in a stock car also. Yeah, how does it matter? Compete as an amateur. Compete in your stock car. Get better. Maybe that bug will bite.
Yeah.
Or maybe it won't and you won't come back. How does it matter? But try तो करो. Skydiving सब लोग को try करना है एक बार में. और कोई लोग हैं जिनको करना ही नहीं है.
Yeah.
एक बार कर लिया यार ठीक है मजा नहीं आया कोई बात नहीं.
Understandable.
So try it. It's an experience.
Got it.
But do it. Don't worry about cars that are faster, people that are better. You are you. You are an individual. You are competing with people so in a friendly competitive environment.
And there is a category for you.
And there's a category for you.
Yeah.
If you're good enough and you get on a podium, which is the rule, right? If you get a podium during an amateur, then you now cannot do amateur anymore. You have to do the pro.
Oh, I don't know that. Okay.
Yeah, that's the rule. The rule is basically, if you start as an amateur when you're first, you can still compete in the pro category if you want. But pros can't come back that way.
Understood. Fair enough.
And if you hit a podium, 1, 2, 3, in any of the categories, then you are no longer considered an amateur, which is totally fair.
I think that's a great rule, man. I think that's what keeps people like you, Karan, Achante, everybody just pumped up every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although it would suck, I don't know how it would happen if like you are like one of 3 amateurs, then you all 3 have podiums. But still, like, I mean, if you've cared enough to come back
Yeah.
to compete
Sure.
with the pros,
Yeah.
dude, we are all in it to have fun.
Yeah.
Right? There's no pros.
Yeah.
We're doing it for kicks. At least most of us are.
Yeah.
So ठीक है, compete with us, enjoy. Class में हो नहीं हो, I तो love having people like Karan and I differ a lot. Where he's like, I get distracted with people in the car. I love having people in my car. Out of the 15 runs I do, 12 runs, 10 runs, 11 runs, I have somebody in the car. Random people. Last time, somebody came up. You were like, I saw you drive. You're really good. Can I sit with you in the next run? I said, देख ये वाला run मेरा rerun है. इस पे मत बैठना. Because I'm in that zone. Next run, please come and sit with me. I have no issues. It's fun. Like it's an inclusive sport.
Yeah.
And I want to
Well said.
pay that forward.
Well said.
And so, yeah, just come. Just
Any particular driving formats that you feel that this could be a new driving format that could make things even more interesting? Maybe a new track format, what you have in mind? Particularly about autocross?
No, not really.
Okay.
I think just the evolution of the tracks, Lakshya is getting better and better at making them. You
I'm
know,
sure, yeah.
Tripping us up, narrowing them in certain places, widening them in certain places.
And I
cutting
think
off
he also
particular-
mentioned about the new driving format that they've recently started about 2 cars driving at the same time.
Yeah, so I wasn't there for that.
Okay.
I've seen the videos.
Yeah.
Not my cup of tea because each track as a result is much smaller. It's not as technical. It's more technical as in like, you know, there's like, you're doing like, you're going around a particular set of cones and also, yeah, there is a lot of steering control that you learn there. But it's not fun for me. The fun for me is finding that braking zone and finding that cornering, finding the edge of not your grip, only your body roll.
No. So what I meant was actually the new driving format wherein...
yeah, they're two going together.
Two going together,
But the tracks
yeah.
are not as interesting to me.
I see. Okay.
I'll still do it. I wasn't there for the last one
Understood.
because I was traveling, but I will definitely try it. But shakal se kabhi kabhi pata chal jata hai ki this is not my cup of tea as compared to autocross. I think making Lakshya has got the right length of autocross track. He's got the right format. He's got the every time you know his whatever he changes up, it's fun. Like it's now becoming difficult to learn the tracks also.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
You know, and you are also pushing it.
Yeah.
So you both of them are reaching an apex where like I'm now. Pehle to I had done like 3 autocrosses where I had come on down top, but I hadn't hit a single cone in 3 autocrosses in a row.
Okay.
Then I wasn't pushing myself.
Understood.
When I started pushing it, I was knocking cones left, right, and center, braking that much later, accelerating that much harder, keeping that much speed through corners where I'm climbing over cones from the rear haunches and all. So. It's getting, I think he's got that formula right and he should just continue that as far as BND goes.
Okay.
Yeah, as he does other events, of course we're going to be there for support, we're going to drive it.
Yeah.
But if you ask me, I don't think there's much he can change. Just keep doing what you're doing. Let this be an evolution now. Yeah.
Got it. Fun question, electric versus combustion.
Combustion.
Why?
I have a very simple reason for it.
Okay.
Electric cars will always be faster in a straight line.
Okay.
No, sure. I'm sure somebody eventually, we're still in the nascent age of electric cars, somebody will engineer an electric car. I think like the next Cayman is going to be all electric. I'm excited to see what they do with it. I won't touch it with a 10-foot barge pole. But I'm excited to see how they mask that weight, because this car is heralded for its handling.
Yeah.
And suddenly you're adding 200 kgs to it, 250 kgs minimum, मैं बोल रहा हूँ. 15-50 kgs की तो minimum होगी. Which is still light in all context, but it's heavy for a Cayman.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to mask it. I don't know what they're going to do. How is it the fact that I just need to... I don't know. Too many issues. But my first issue is with the sensation. As humans, we always work on our sensation. What do we have? Beyond a point, गाड़ी में कौन सा use करते हैं? Sight, sound, touch. These are the 3 things that we really use.
Yeah.
Right? You have sound which is missing. 1 out of the 3 things that you survive with are missing in that. That emotion is no longer there. yes, it's definitely more clinical. It's definitely more powerful. Let's assume that they can go or get around the weight issue, which is possible, right? Because today even the M2, it's 1800 kilos, man. It's really heavy. It's 500 kgs on this.
Wow.
But it handles really damn well. I was surprised. I was the one who was making fun of this car left, right and center before I got a test drive from BMW India. And it was brilliant. It was brilliant. It drove like something I didn't expect.
Okay.
Masks the weight really well. I think dynamics have come a long way in cars. Like the engineers have just gotten that good where they can mask this kind of weight. So let's assume they can mask the weight also.
Okay.
Drove the Taycan on the track also. I mean, for as heavy as that car is, it has no business handling the way it does. You can feel the weight. But I can see them being able to engineer their way significantly out of that hole.
Yeah.
तो मैं हैंडलिंग पे आ ही नहीं रहा हूँ, फील पे आ ही नहीं रहा हूँ, मैं बस साउंड पे आ रहा हूँ. With that missing, and the second thing that's missing are those imperfections. It's clinical. Motors are far more efficient as a form of propulsion than a thing burning fuel and pushing pistons up and down. You know, how many different 2-liter cars are there? There's 2-liter VRSs. There's 2-liter TFSI engines, which are not the same as the VRS from what I understand. Then there are 2-liter Jeeps. There are 2-liter Boxers.
Tons. Yeah.
There's so many different types of engines, and each type of engine, there are so many inline 4 engines, right? Each inline 4 engine has its own idiosyncrasies because it's paired with a gearbox which has its own idiosyncrasies. These things match up to make a unique experience in a particular car.
Yeah.
One car with the same setup doesn't feel the same as another car.
Sure.
That is completely gone in electric cars, I feel.
Okay.
Each car feels the same. It's just varying levels of power. वो उतनी ही स्मूथ है, वो वैसे ही कोट अनकोट शिफ्ट करेगी जो नहीं करेगी बेसिकली. You know, it's like I grew up with Tamiya's. Feels like that. That's my problem with them. There's that emotion lacking there for people who like the clinical feel of it, the power of it, the way it throws you back in the seat, which to me gets old real fast.
Okay.
Then electric cars are for you. Electric cars have a place.
Yeah.
Like an electric Luxo barge for the city. Brilliant idea, man. Like the Rolls-Royce Spectre ही है ना, the electric one.
I don't know.
Pretty sure.
Okay.
Perfect. They've engineered this V12 because V12 otherwise is the smoothest engine you can get.
Yeah.
They've engineered their V12s to be like कोई coin खड़ा हो जाता है and all that. Electric motor ही डालो यार, vibrations गए. Question ही नहीं है vibrations का. They are engineering themselves in a very different direction.
Yeah.
So electric cars have a place.
Okay.
In sports cars, this is just old man yells at sky level of meme.
We're in the same boat.
Yeah. I don't think they have a place in sports cars, personally.
Okay.
They're great for 0 to 100. So Rimac, very good. No complaints. But 0 to 100 का interest है तो चलाओ भी, मेरे को कोई problem नहीं. And they'll set good Nürburgring times and all that. ठीक है, मतलब वो track पे भी अच्छा है. तो I don't have really much of a leg to stand on. It's emotion.
Emotion, correct.
You were party to that conversation yesterday on the group.
Yeah.
मैनुअल क्यों नहीं चाहिए, मैनुअल में तो अच्छा ही नहीं है ये मालूम है. It's not as fast of a transmission. It's not as good of a car. The auto is better in every way and it's $1 lakh cheaper.
Yeah.
Like an idiot, I paid more for a manual. And I daily it. Like it's daftness no matter which way you look. Except when you look inwards, where it's like, what do you enjoy? I don't enjoy electric cars.
Like I remember the 911R which was out, it was with a manual shifter. And they'd done some pretty good things. The first thing that came to my mind here when I'm cornering just before the corner, when I'm braking hard and I'm downshifting, how would I rev match? Because I don't know how to heel toe. So then Porsche itself answered. I mean, the moment I saw the description video, they said that automatic rev match, and they do it.
But you can turn it off. You can turn it off.
Oh, you can turn it off.
The M2 also has that, where you can turn the auto rev matching on or off.
Okay.
Suddenly, you've got to, what's special about the M2 to me? And this is part of the conversation. I haven't drifted, I promise. The M2, this couple of days ago, I took it one of the people I'm closest to in my life.
Okay.
My cousin Shashwat, like love
Okay.
that kid to death. He is way more into cars than I am.
Okay.
Not on the building side as much as just knowing about them and loving them.
Okay.
And we went out for a drive, and neither of us have ever driven a manual sports car. The
Okay.
last manual car I drove was a 10-year-old Innova.
Okay.
I've driven a manual Mustang once,
Okay.
but that thing doesn't qualify as a sports car because it's dog shit slow.
Yeah.
Lots of Mustang owners and YouTube comments आने वाले हैं कि Mustang को slow बोल रहे हैं.
Ford fans.
Sounds really good.
Yeah.
Sounds like $1 million.
Yeah.
Drives like a dollar bill.
Huh.
So, I mean, your standard 5-liter GT, right?
Yeah.
So, the thing is, with this, how do I put it, yaar? With the M2, the beauty is that you got to earn the idea of this car, which is
Okay.
you get in, like Shashwat was struggling driving that manual. He's like, dude, I haven't driven a manual in ages. I have a Seltos at home, which is a manual which I drive once in a blue moon. Not even. So it was difficult for him to drive it.
Okay.
For the first time, and he's driven all the nicest cars that exist. He gets into this and he's like, I don't know how to drive this. Which he was like happy about. He's like, I literally got a message also later. They were like, dude, I'm going to drive this more. I'm going to drive the Seltos, then I'm going to drive this again. So just so I can learn to find that bite point in the clutch. Heel towing. I tried to heel toe that night. Hilariously failed at it. I was wearing the right shoes, boots, everything.
Okay.
नहीं हुआ मेरे से.
Doesn't happen. Not everybody
But-
is. Yeah.
When do you get to do that with cars like this?
Yeah.
I want to talk about this also. You get in, put it in drive, and you go. You're not learning to drive the basics of it also.
Yeah.
So that's very rewarding.
The engagement part of it is
All
really
of that
rewarding.
is missing even more in an electric car.
Sure.
That's my problem with it. That's why combustion.
Understandable. In connection to that, next question for internal combustion, a fanboy. Tuned fast or stock fast?
Tune fast.
Why? And
If it can go faster, why won't you want it to go? To a limit. Like I said, depending on what your build is, there's this company in England that does, it's called TTE.
Okay.
They do a turbo upgrade on this where they take your turbo and they put a different core into it.
okay.
On like, let's say 100 octane fuel, I can push about 450 horsepower. 50 horsepower more than what it is right now, which is a lot. 450 horsepower in a 1300 kg car is not a joke.
But
I
you
lose
would
my
get
low
so
end-
many other stock cars also. I mean, I don't know off the hand names, but I'm sure you would get in the same weight category a lot many cars like
What?
which are doing north of 450 horsepower.
What?
I can't get any names
Not
off
in
my
India. And the ones that are there are too expensive.
Okay. So I think
Yeah, you can get like the Alpine 110 or something like that. No, 110 to Purani thi, the new Alpine.
Huh.
I don't know how much power it has. I think it has about the same power as a base Cayman.
Okay.
But it's lighter.
Hmm.
There's that.
Anything about the feel factor that you feel that, making a car go faster than it actually does by tuning it just gives you a kick?
Yeah, it does. Car feels brand new.
Okay.
Car feels
Fair
brand
enough.
new.
Fair
Because the car is suddenly doing a lot more than it was, out of the factory given to do. But you're kind of unlocking the car also. The fact that on stock parts you can go from 300 to 380 horsepower, not even a downpipe. Obviously, it was built into it. BMW lies through their teeth. Technically, the M2 is 460 horsepower on paper, which means at crank. People are dynoing it at 480 at wheel. Stock M2s.
Damn.
So forget about power, it's about how the car feels. So
Well
yes,
said.
if you say stock fast, if the car is fast enough stock and if you're going to start tuning it to the point where it's like becoming a mess and no longer the car it's supposed to be, then I would say keep it stock.
Huh. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Otherwise, I would say tune. And most cars you can tune. I don't think there's a car that's like, already perfect out of the door.
Can you because there are so many such huge number of guys and girls who are, probably driving bone stock machines, not at this level, but probably at a mediocre
Any
level.
level, how does it
And
matter?
any level. And they are probably thinking and they have many conversations going on internally and they have myths about tuning their car. So what should their approach be when they want to, while starting their tuning journey? And when I say tuning, I don't just mean engine tuning, I mean the entire setup. It could be suspension, it could be brakes, it could be performance,
See,
anything.
find what you want to do first.
Okay.
Whether it's on track, whether it's autocross.
Okay.
ऑटोक्रॉस इतने होते भी नहीं है इवेंट्स. आई थिंक दिल्ली में BND बहुत सारे होते हैं. आई डोंट थिंक इंडिया में और कुछ होते भी हैं फ्रैंकली. सो डिपेंड्स ऑन व्हाट यू वांट टू डू. लेट्स टॉक दिल्ली कॉन्टेक्स्ट. डू यू वांट टू डू ऑटोक्रॉस? डू यू वांट टू ड्राइव इट ऑन ट्रैक? ऑन ट्रैक, if I was driving this on track, yeah, I would have put the 450 horsepower.
Okay.
So answer that question first. If you have a naturally aspirated car, engine tune ain't going to do much. I'm not an expert on it, but it's maybe like you'll add another extra 20 horsepower or something. Max. I may be wrong. But ये नहीं कि 80 horsepower, 70 horsepower, उतना तो मुझे भी मालूम है, उतना नहीं होता.
So actually what I meant was on the front of, whether a person should think of getting engine numbers going up first, or probably think of upgrading the brakes or suspension, or what should that
if you have a
journey?
naturally aspirated car,
Okay.
I would not go for engine numbers first.
Okay.
I would do that much later कि मैं turbo charge कर दिया, like Achintya turbo.
Correct.
With turbo cat and all that, where he turbo charges when you're really getting those numbers out of that engine, right?
Yeah.
So if it's an NA car, I would do that. If it's a turbo car, can your engine handle it? Like a 1 liter turbo, how much will you tune?
Yeah.
Look at what kind of dividends you're getting with that tune, basically. If it's like 10-15 horsepower more, if it's like 40 horsepower plus, then sure, go for that first. Second, I would say go for brakes, because that's, especially with autocross, stopping distance matters.
Yeah.
The later you brake, the more time you gain,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So I would go for brakes next.
Okay.
Then I would go for suspension third.
Okay.
Cooling, if that matters to you, then obviously somewhere in the middle you do it. So saying exactly how I did it, I wouldn't do it any differently. All I would say is maximize your car first and then do something different.
Okay.
Don't just throw money at the problem.
Okay.
Problem.
Okay. Understood. Few questions about looking at your personal life. You're a father of 2 children. The most recent one is almost a month and a half earlier he was born. So there are a lot many fathers of young children, like your brother Bharatji himself. So what would your approach be like, looking at these kids grow up and, having an interest for cars, or I don't know if they even have an interest or not
So
in
my
cars?
older son Mehrav is like obsessed with cars. And
Okay.
it's not from a perspective of I said कि गाड़ियाँ best होती हैं, तुम गाड़ी से खेलो or something. Nothing. He, from day one, minute he started comprehending the world, he was very interested in it. Like, I had just, he would want to go in the M3.
Okay.
Hates his Volvo. And he says, like, बचपन से he would, बचपन क्या वो तो छोटा ही है, but like when he was very young also, he would just started talking. His first word was car. Nothing to do with me. I swear to God, his first word was car.
Not Mama, not Papa.
After
Of
Papa
course, huh.
and Mama.
Okay.
But like very soon after.
Yeah.
Papa, then a week later Mama, and then a week later car.
So how do you plan to be like a guiding figure for them?
I think just like you would be a guiding figure for anything. I'm still a young dad, but I've seen my siblings are a lot older than I am. My brother is 17 and a half years older than me. My sister is 11 and a half years older than me.
Okay.
So that's a very lucky thing that I have in my life, where I've seen not one set of parents, which are my own, raise someone, which is yourself.
Huh.
But you've seen your siblings also raise, fine children.
Yeah.
In their own right. And I think the important thing I believe today, subject to change with experience, is that you guide them with whatever their passions are. Like if Mehrav was into something else, I would guide him the same way. Maybe if he was into like art, like I still can't color between the lines, man. Okay, like seriously, it's kind of sad.
I can drive between the lines but not color.
Huh? Actually, imagine. So
I can sketch but not with a pencil. I can probably sketch with tire marks.
yeah, not as well as Kabir.
Of course not.
But yeah.
Okay.
But I think it's about. I probably help him a lot more with this kind of passion if he chooses to
Okay.
follow it.
Okay. Have you gotten him to any of the events, or is?
I've got him to a couple.
Okay.
Obviously, he's very young. He's only 2
Sure.
right now.
Sure.
But now, starting this season, I want to bring him to all the events.
Okay.
And he's my brother also. My brother actually was one of my very early influences into cars. Like I am into cars because of him.
Okay.
Him and 2 of my cousins, Anand and Soumya, were my bua's children. I grew up with them practically, and because they were a lot younger. I mean, they were also like my siblings only.
Yeah.
Like, practically, they're like
Sure.
as much as my siblings are to
Sure.
me. And these 3 of them were like huge influences on my life as to why I am into cars to begin with. Bhaiya ke saath we used to build the Tamiyas. He used to build them. He built many when he was younger. So, we played with his old radio controls. We built new radio controls with him. I remember we built a petrol one, an Opel DTM car. We built Nitro as they call it. I remember the first one we built with him was a Mini, a blue colored Mini. Usko paint karte. So he's actually been a big influence, and both Anand Bhaiya and Soumya Bhaiya have been big influences of like why I went. Like that is something what I want to do, a little more hands-on, because he's really into it. So Bhaiya also was like, man, he's obsessed with cars. It was his observation as well, and his observations are very important to me. So he said, "You're like, what are you going to do?" He said, "You should put him in a go-kart." I said, "That's the plan." So pending, how he is at 3.5, 4. There's a bit of an eye issue also, although I don't think that'll make a difference.
Sure.
I want to put him into a go-kart.
Okay.
He started showing signs now of like steering stuff. He has that little
Yeah.
push wala
Yeah.
cart. Now he started steering around things and all that.
Yeah.
So, theek hai. Let's see how it goes.
Sure.
Put him in a go-kart. Push him in that direction. Because that's something I know I can help him with.
Yeah.
And then dekhte hain kaise hota hai.
Understood. Quick question and a fun one. What do you think your Porsche would be talking to you about or would want to tell you while you're driving on track and autocross?
On track, though, it would just constantly tell me that you suck and you should be faster.
Okay.
Straight up. That's exactly what it would tell me. Autocross, it would be like... It would probably be like... Doot. Especially down the slalom in the last autocross where I was like absolute edge of grip, as far as I'm concerned at least.
Okay.
And I was I think at the edge of the grip of the car, and I was past my limit of what I normally could do.
Okay.
So I definitely unlocked something that day.
Okay.
And I was blasting through this thing, and then the car was definitely like shit.
Okay.
Like Karan, like aaj to main gayi types.
Anything the tires you think would specifically be saying, or they are within the limit, well within the limit?
Tires are like, aren't they?
Okay. Fair enough.
Very crude Delhi terms.
Aren't though. Fair enough. So, talking about, you just mentioned this term, your limits. Tell me one horrifying moment in your autocross driving time period.
Autocross driving.
Or even track or any kind of motorsports that you've been participating in.
Both have one each.
That like literally
Autocross
something
was-
happened that you just shat in your pants that day and probably
Yeah.
decided that yaar ab to main nahi karunga. But then you again got back into it.
So with autocross, that was not the case.
Okay.
Where I was like, oh dude, I can't do this.
Okay.
Like a confidence reducer, basically.
Okay.
I remember this is the first autocross I did on
Okay.
that track where I told you there was a lot of gravel and everything.
Huh.
So I remember there was a right-hander and then a left-hander.
Okay.
Okay. And a bit of a flowy left-hander.
Okay.
But still sharp.
Mm-hmm.
There was, and then there's like a mound like this on the right, and then a light pole. So light pole का जो concrete base था, वो था एक तरफ. Right next to that was the cone. Space, the gate basically, another cone, and right next to that cone was that fixed electric box basically.
Okay.
And there was gravel everywhere. I remember I took that corner, and I just completely started losing the back.
Okay.
Now I'm properly counter steering. And I'm like, I need to get through this gate.
Huh.
I need to not lose time.
Huh.
I need to not crash into the electric box on the right.
Huh.
And I need to not spin into the concrete base on my left.
Okay.
Somehow I made it just like sideways through the gate. Like I was like, "Grrr," like this. Like this steering angle is what I was going through the gate.
Huh.
Made it through, and I was like, geez, like definitely need new pants after this one for sure. And it was the first time I'm doing it, you know, it was ridiculous.
Okay.
Scarier one was BIC, a lot more benign.
Huh.
I think Karan was in the car only with me that time. I was driving. This had the shitty EBC yellow stuff pads in front, okay? Like,
Okay.
they're definitely not meant for higher performance driving.
Okay.
I don't know why I had them,
Huh.
but they were not meant for the track at all, I feel.
Okay.
So, what happened was I did one hot lap, car did fine,
Huh.
right? On my cool down,
Huh.
went around turn 3, and thoda sa your adrenaline is still pumping, so I was doing about 120, so I was like, let me slow down to about 100 or so.
Okay.
So instead of going ham onto the brake, which you normally do,
Huh.
which when there's enough pressure in the line there,
Yeah.
I just tapped the brake.
Huh.
And I kept tapping, and I kept tapping, and I kept tapping, and this brake went all the way down to the floor. And the car
Oh my
wasn't
God.
even remotely close to slowing down. That day, I lost so much confidence because I was like at the back straight doing 240, 245 kilometers an hour. Agar brake nahi laga to,
Huh.
and I didn't drive on BIC for 2 years after that.
My God.
The next time I went was when I did a full change where I changed the rotors and the pads at the same time, drove the pads in Autocross, went hard on the brakes a bunch of times and all that, understood what the car is doing. Like I said, I'd also started pushing the car
Yeah.
more in Autocross. And then I was like, chalte hain track day pe, ek karte hain. The Bombay guys had come, my cousin Akhil, another guy who's really into cars. He was like, come. So I went, and he was sitting like just tutoring on the side. And he kept getting me to brake later and later, kind of to his own surprise. Like,
Okay.
ruk bhi rahi hai gaadi.
Huh.
That's when like a bit of that confidence came back.
Okay. Okay.
Then I drove the M3 once, then it came back more. Then I
Okay.
went and drove obviously the the GT3 RS and the GT4 RS, jo
Yeah.
Porsche ka do event. Then I drove the M cars
Okay.
on track again.
Okay.
So those 4 track days, that
Got you back.
confidence came back.
Got you back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still not a fan of BIC though. Frankly, I'm not.
Why?
I like the technical section,
Okay.
but turn 1, like basically the main straight, turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 to theek hai. All the way down to turn 4, yeah, it just murders the car too much. It's just, I don't enjoy it. Autocross is a lot more fun to me. And smaller tracks.
Okay. Understandable.
Like Curry is a great track.
Kari Motor Speedway.
It's
Okay.
tiny,
Huh.
but it's great. It's
Never
awesome.
driven on that. I have not. I don't.
We
Yeah,
drove
I've
some
never
J
even been on
Motorsport
that. Yeah.
single seaters.
Okay.
That was fun. So I like tracks like that. I like, there's a theme here,
Okay.
compact cars, smaller tracks. That's more my jam.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, let's say there is somebody who existed in the past or exists currently who you would want to challenge on an autocross. Let's say if you want to challenge a ghost. So who would that ghost be?
Senna's.
Sorry?
Senna's Ghost.
You would want to challenge Senna.
But I would want Senna to drive my car. This is an ulterior motive here.
Okay.
But any of the race, I'm not going to keep up with them, dude, frankly.
Sure.
But I would drive, I would race with them
Huh.
on the only thing that they would drive my car. Because then I would know what the peak of my car is. Ki now I would have benchmark kiya, yahan tak pahunchna hai.
Dude, you have some nuts, man. I mean, giving your car to Senna, thinking of giving your car to Senna.
After that video of him driving the NSX. on
Exactly.
चलाए
हाँ.
अगर गाड़ी नहीं हैंडल करेगी तो गाड़ी का फॉल्ट है.
Okay. Fair enough.
That would be past. Today I would probably give it to Hamilton or Verstappen or Vettel. Frankly, anyone on that grid. But if I had to pick one, I would pick one of the 3.
Okay. One last question about, again, it's connected to your the competitive Shrivatsa Somany on, let's say, autocross events. You've got, as you mentioned, such amazing friends that you've made over time in autocross. Like Karan is there, Akshay is there, Lakshay is also there, Pratik, and
I
so
mean,
many
so
other
many of
people.
them, yeah.
So many other people. But I'm sure there is a conversational shift, or let's say a mental shift that happens just before you shut the windows, before the light goes green. And and the conversation I'm talking about is the conversation like you usually have with your friends, and immediately after the light goes green they are your competitors. So what does that shift look like in your mind from a friend to a competitor? What is that internal dialogue that suddenly comes to you?
There's no internal dialogue as such. I guess if you're saying from that perspective, once the windows go up and they're like, "Are you ready?" And then at that point, I'm like, I need to set the best time that I can today, and I definitely need to be the fastest today. Like come rain, come shine, I have to be the fastest today, because if I'm not, I walk away understanding that yes, somebody was faster and this is why they were faster, and I understand that, and it's not acceptable to me, to myself. Not to me, it's not acceptable to myself. Have to be better. Have to be faster. That's more of a conversation, it's a more inward conversation. It's like, I don't care who I'm competing with. I enjoy competing with Malik. I enjoy competing with Vidit, because with Achintya, with even Anush, honestly, with his go-kart, I mean, there's a super sense of competition there. Like, it's like, dude, you have to beat these people.
Yeah.
But I don't care who they are when I'm trying to beat them. I have to beat everyone. That's it. The goal is to be the fastest in autocross. That overall time, I don't care about anything else.
Okay, I think, there are tons of things. I'm just unable to frame so many things that I have in my head at a personal level. Also, I would want to ask you, but I'm just unable to frame those in the, from the questions, framing it into a question. But you know what? Thanks a lot, man. I think probably we can continue bantering about
Definitely.
so many different things. But thanks a lot for today, for pulling out
No,
so much time.
thank you for
I think
having
it's
me.
been a great session knowing you better.
Yeah,
And
likewise.
all the best, man. May the downforce be with you.
Yeah, yeah.
Cheers. Thank
Funnily
you so
enough, that's
much.
a t-shirt I just bought on Lip Shift. Ab bhi chal raha hai. May the downforce be with you.
I'll steal it later. Chalo, thanks a
Yeah.
lot. Thanks.
Thanks.